Hello, and welcome to Mystic Visions. This is a daily pick a card reading for December 30th, which is Wednesday. And the purpose of this reading is to give you a brief piece of advice or to help guide your overall focus for the day. And if you're looking for a longer, more detailed reading, please check out my channel. And if you're new to pick a card readings, the way this works is that you'll choose from one of the three piles here, and then you'll click on the timestamp in the description to skip ahead to the reading you've selected. Now, if you feel compelled to choose more than one card, that is totally fine. Please follow your intuition here. There is probably some good advice in each reading, even if one pile is just a little more accurate than the others for your situation. So I've also added 3 crystals here to help you decide. And today I have Blue Tiger's Eye. This is Adventurine. And this is Rose Quartz. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds of silence so that you can meditate on your choice if you wish. And then once you have your choices in mind, go ahead and find the timestamp for your particular reading. So let's go ahead and start the 30 seconds now. Okay, so if you have not already done so, please go ahead and make your selection. And we're going to go ahead and begin with pile number 1, which is the Blue Tiger's Eye. I know it just kind of looks black on camera, but it has some stripes, and there it is, Blue Tiger's Eye. So if you chose the Blue Tiger's Eye, you have the Justice card in the reverse, 9 of Wands, and the Page of Swords. Okay, so if you are a regular of this channel, you will know that my rule is if in any particular reading, if they all come up in the reverse, I flop them around and bring them into the positive. And it just tends to be, it makes a little bit more sense this way, and it's usually a little bit more accurate and a little bit more positive. So, situation here being the Justice card, there is a need for there to be some logical analysis in what's going on. You're feeling like you have to figure this out a little bit, and you are craving some justice or in need of it. Or, just in the process of seeing it done. So when this comes up, there may be some legal issues. There may be something that you're having to go through with the courts or something like that. Or it could just be that you are perhaps looking for something that you're owed. There's a tendency for this to be balance-oriented. You're looking for fairness or kind of a balancing of the equation here a little bit, or what goes around comes around, right? So this is just you looking for something that you probably deserve, but there's a logical, methodical way about this. Justice is something that is usually enacted by people who are imperfect, so it doesn't always go off perfectly, but there's an attempt at fairness at the very least here. So this is kind of what's heavy with you right now, is this attitude of fairness and equality, or sort of judging who is owed money or due a certain a certain attention or something that is supposed to be coming around, So anyway, the challenging energy here is this 9 of Wands. So this can mean that, like, you may have been hurt or damaged in the past, that there's been something that you've gone through which has made you a little perhaps cynical or skeptical about this situation. You're not exactly trusting. The challenge with this Nine of Wands is to, um, first of all, utilize what's happened in the past to kind of inform your future decisions, and to not become hardened and closed off, but to instead learn from your past, or not necessarily your mistakes. There's not necessarily a mistake here, but it could be that others have done you wrong before, and you're kind of recognizing the risk associated with certain people, or in the context of justice, you may be waiting for somebody to get theirs. That sort of karma, that karmic response is what you're after here, or what you're looking for. And what your advice is for this situation is the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords is sort of a new. It's more of the page are kind of like children. This is a childlike energy, and swords represent thought. So this is somebody who's got this like new idea, and they are supporting it pretty openly and without hesitation. It's an immature energy, so they haven't run into a ton of difficulties yet or anything like that. But this is saying, think of this new idea or this new way of going, and kind of focus on an optimistic path forward, instead of kind of ruminating on older ideas and things like that. Find a way to come up with somewhat of a new plan, or if you already have a new plan or a new idea, focus on that a little bit more, and sort of get out of these stale negative situations that have not served you well in the past, and move into this more positive energy, or an opportunity for something else. Or in general, if you're feeling a little stagnant, or you're feeling like there is some, things are not really working out the way they should, try to come up with a new idea or a new way of looking at the situation, and that might serve you a little bit better on this day. Okay, so that's about it for card number 1. Okay, for card number 2, if you chose the Adventurine, you have the Hermit, Ten of Pentacles, and the Seven of Swords. Okay, so the Hermit, in the reverse, it can be sort of a little bit of a loneliness. There's this attitude of you're in some kind of solitude, and while there is an opportunity for this to be like a positive thing for you, you're kind of not wanting to be alone at this point. You're really trying to be more social, to be around other people, and so the solitude is becoming almost unbearable or distracting, or just not something that you're after at this point. You may be just feeling a little bit lonely. What's crossing you here is this Ten of Pentacles, but in the reverse. So the idea here is that you may have been kind of like searching for a tremendous financial success, or having a great work life and all that. But the idea here is that you kind of recognize that there is a cost to that tremendous financial success. So it's like, a big wealthy lifestyle, having that really nice car, or the really big house. It also comes with a lot more upkeep, and you have to do a lot more to sustain such a lifestyle. So the problem with that is a lot of times we get into this situation thinking about what we want, and we don't realize that there's a whole lot of other stuff that comes with what you want. And a lot of times it's kind of a deal breaker, because it's like, well, yeah, I want that nice house, but my God, that tax bill is unbelievable. And how am I ever going to sustain that, right? So there's some things are not all that they seem at first, and you might be enticed for, a wealthy lifestyle and everything like that. But then you kind of run into some difficulties which make you think this is not sustainable, that I need to kind of scale back my desires and feel a little bit, more wiggle room and a little more comfort with how things are going, and it not be quite so stressful. And your advice here is the Seven of Swords. So Seven of Swords is a weird thing to be in the advice card, but the Seven of Swords is this energy of needing to get away with something or being a little bit sneaky, or in this case, I'm kind of taking it to mean to, I don't want to say like hide away what you've done here, but so the idea is if you are allowing others to see your success, to see what you have, it's like it's like a dinner bell for the predators, right? So one of my a favorite little saying I've heard is if you plan on skipping town, don't let your creditors know beforehand, because they're gonna come for you here. So this is saying that, this success or something that you're looking for, it comes with some things that draw attention to yourself in sort of negative ways. There's ways that if you really think about it, the more successful you are, the more people flock to you, like, wildebeest, or not wildebeest, hyenas, scavengers, right? They're trying to get something of what you have. And so the problem then with like enhanced wealth or something like that becomes pretty evident when people start coming out of the woodwork to ask you for help and ask you for things. So it can be kind of hard on your relationships to have that kind of success, because people are always wanting something out of you instead of really loving you just for who you are and having a more pure friendship type of life. So on the one hand, material wealth can be good and everything, and it's definitely something that a lot of people seek after, but then they find that there are a lot of really bad things that come with that. And to borrow an old saying, don't seek the world and then lose your soul, right? So that's your advice for this situation, is just remember that there's always these hidden aspects of trying to get away with these things, or trying to hide your true authentic self, and it's a tough road. So just remember that if you are seeking wealth too vehemently, there's a lot of life to be lived that doesn't require all that wealth to begin with. So some money is good. Too much money, just like anything, can be a bad thing. Okay, so that's about it for card number 2. Let's go ahead and move on to card number 3. If you chose the Rose Quartz, you have the Queen of Swords in the reverse, the Star in the reverse, and the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse. So here we are in another situation where if all the cards are in the reverse, it is my policy to reverse them to the upright position. And that tends to just be a little bit more accurate in the reading, and it gives a more positive message, and I like that. So for your current situation being the Queen of Swords, this is somebody who's a little bit more introspective. You're thinking about life. You're thinking about what's the point of all this. You have 2 pretty huge major arcana cards here, along with a court card, and so there's some kind of big things happening here internally for you, some huge choices, and you may feel that this is just like not really business as usual. There's some big things happening, and specifically with the Queen of Swords, this indicates some thoughts about philosophy, some thoughts about like what you want to get out of life, and a really introspective but intelligent state of mind, or intellectual state of mind. So you're working things out in your head, and you can be a little bit, closed off or internalized in this state, but not guaranteed. But sometimes the Queen is a little stuck in her own head. But in general, it's a positive thing where there's quite a bit of effort going into just working out the lay of the land and figuring out your place in life and what's best for you and that kind of thing. So a lot of thought going on here. Crossing you or challenging you here is the Star. This is asking you to maintain some faith. And this kind of contrasts with this Queen of Swords, who's definitely trying to figure things out. The Star is kind of giving up on that. She doesn't need to have things figured out. She kind of trusts the way things are and relaxes and lets go. And, in the original artwork for the Star here, she's pouring out two jugs, one on the land and one on the water, symbolizing both the conscious and the subconscious. So she is essentially just allowing herself to melt into the reality around her and sees herself more as one with the environment and the universe, and not necessarily trying to control things or feeling like she needs things to be worked out. So there's a little bit of a tug of war going on between these two ideas within you. So on the one hand, you have this more thoughtful energy, which is trying to figure things out and not control things, but to understand things. But then there's this need for you to kind of let go and just join the dance a little bit. So your advice is the Wheel of Fortune, and what this can mean is, I think in this case, if you're having trouble going for that more faithful path forward and that trusting mentality, the idea here is that some things are just sort of cyclical, some things are almost random, and it can be kind of like a wild ride. And also, if you're looking for the meaning and why do bad things happen, well, the reason bad things happen is because good things happen, right? So you wouldn't know what a bad thing was if it wasn't for good things. And most of us, if we really sat down and thought about it, we wouldn't get rid of all the bad times if it meant that we also got rid of all the good times, right? So that's the whole point here. When you play games with others and there's a winner and there's a loser, the reason that there is a loser is because the possibility of losing is what makes winning so much fun, right? So, and there are people more and more these days who try to play sports without a particular winner or without keeping score. And it kind of tends to ruin the competitiveness and the fun of the thing. But at the same time, the reason they're doing that is because some people get too caught up in the game. Some people take it too seriously, and some people get too hurt when you lose. And then you get this attitude of, no, I want it to be everyone is a winner. You're a winner if you even play, and that kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, it's great to have that mentality to a degree. But what everybody's trying to do is they're trying to strive for a life that is all positive and no negative, all white and no black. And to strive for that is to essentially strive to be unconscious, because consciousness itself is this differentiation between white and black, this seeing of duality. That's consciousness in and of itself. It is a gift, right? It's something wonderful, and resisting it is kind of what keeps you on that sort of karmic wheel. The Hindus talk about trying to escape from karma and all that stuff. Well, in a sense, trying to escape from it is the very thing which keeps you on it, right? Whereas simply going with it, going with the flow and being you without thinking about all those things is the way to get over it. And so that's a kind of a hint as to how to get out of this more Queen of Swords type energy and into a more trusting and faithful type of life. It's don't complain about things not feeling fair, or things going through a rough patch, or feeling like, why is it always me? Well, it's not always you, but you got to go through some bad things in order to appreciate the good things. So don't cling to the negative aspect or the bad things and try to make too much sense out of them. And just remember that we all get a little bit of tough times, and you should feel in a way fortunate for those tough times, because again, it's like the spice of life that think of it like the salt in a stew. You don't want too much of it, obviously, but if you don't have any of it, the whole thing falls flat and it's just bland and really not that savory, So the idea here is to add just a little bit of it, and it's extremely necessary for there to be a little bit of it in order for you to appreciate the whole thing. So that's about it for the daily reading for today. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the next daily reading, and be on the lookout very shortly for my monthly readings that are coming out. So everyone have a good evening and enjoy yourself.